Chris, and I am Tori, and this is Coffee, Tea, and Art, episode number 6. 6 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be like one every other month if we did it that way.
But we don't.
But we don't. So, being episode number 6, and it's December right now, this is the holiday episode. So, all things creative and caffeinated with some ideas for the holidays. The tea that we have is from Teavana, and it's called, well...
We call it Christmas tea.
We call it Christmas tea. I don't know what they call it. But it's made up of 2 different teas. Samurai Chai Mate and Maharaja Chai Oolong. So there is caffeine in it. It is black tea. I don't know why it tastes like Christmas, but it does. It's
I don't know. You've been saying for years that it tastes like Christmas, and I don't really know what Christmas should taste like.
You have to close your eyes. Close your eyes.
Tastes a little bit like pine.
Yep, it does taste a lot like pine. It's almost like if you could put...
You could drink a Christmas tree.
A Christmas tree?
With candy canes and cinnamon and nutmeg on it.
And some chestnuts.
And chestnuts, yes.
All of it. That's why it's Christmas tea.
We have just solved the mystery of what Christmas tastes like. It's good, though. You should try it.
It is good. So, to go with the tea, and like I said, kind of leading up to this one, that we wanted to have another recipe, Chris made...
Scones. Chocolate chip scones. Vegan chocolate chip scones.
They're so good, you have to keep talking.
Now I have to keep talking.
To me, especially with tea, and this tea in particular, they just really go well together.
Yeah, this is a good tea to drink by itself with some sugar, or if you like milk or cream in your tea, this one would work well too.
Awesome. So there's our tea and our scones. We also have a couple other things to talk about. Back in episode 3, I talked about Flow magazine, which you can go back and watch that episode if you missed it, but they're awesome. It's kind of like a mindful and creative and interesting magazine. But I wanted to share with you the 2 things they put out at the end of the year, which are great gifts for yourself even. And that is a diary. So I can kind of share with you last year's that I had started. I like the idea of micro journaling. So I do a daily page of art a day. And sometimes I just can't find the time to also like write a whole page. But their diary has little lines where you can put content and fill out your day. I write fairly small too, so it's perfect for me to just kind of capture the moments of the day. And I'd love to be able to look back and think about all the great things that happened in the year. And for the 2017 version, they also have postcards and stickers in the back. They have a place for you to write all the books that you read or the movies you watched or just other little special moments.
Ooh, it's got a pocket.
It does. That's where the postcards are.
Oh yeah, all the good stuff's in the pocket. Awesome.
But they have a lot of attention to detail. And it's just a great way to kind of keep a diary without too much of a commitment, like whole pages for 2017. And give you something to look back on.
Where would someone go to get this?
Online. flowmagazine.com,
okay.
Which I'll put the link below. Also from Flow Magazine, which is the 2017 Mindfulness Workbook. I got one for myself, I got one for you, I got one for a friend. They sell them at the, is it Barnes & Noble?
Barnes & Noble. Yeah.
Barnes & Noble bookstore. You can also get these online. This is so awesome because it's really all about working through really being mindful and kind of looking at yourself and your life in a very like mindful way.
Yeah, this is a good time of year for mindfulness, anything, because there's so much stress that can come with the holidays and closing out the year. It's nice to have something to help you just kind of focus on the now and get back to what's most meaningful to you.
Mm-hmm. I feel like everybody's rushing this time of year.
Yeah.
So this is really neat too because what they do in this book... Sorry, you can hold it.
I saw some arrows. My eyes were attracted to the arrows.
Yes. What they do in here is they have a lot of tip-ins, which is essentially like extra parts and pieces they put into the book. They have cards for you to write on. Those arrows are actually little post-it notes for you to remember certain key elements in the book. They have a bookmark. They have just a bunch of really neat stuff in there. And also a lot of stories and kind of how do you... Oh, apps for you to work through.
Questionnaires.
Yeah, it's a workbook.
And it's got a pocket in the back with more good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They really get the pocket thing.
They do.
Got it down.
Well, the people that do Flow Magazine, really, it's about paper and it's about kind of a tactile experience. So they do have a digital app of like moments or like happy thoughts, but a lot of what they do is paper, so that you're really interacting and engaging with something. I also have, from an art supply standpoint, we have a barking dog.
Just have to deal with that.
Mm-hmm. I have a few things.
She's mindful of the dog that's walking in front of our house right now, I'm sure.
Yes, very mindful. I have a few things from an art standpoint, which would make great gifts. I picked these because they were some of my favorite mediums throughout the year. And I thought it would be a good time to like share a couple of different things. And if you're still looking for that last minute gift, a lot of these are sold on Amazon or all over the place, so you can find them. Liquitex Muted Green Ink. I know I'm like holding this way back here, you can barely see it. But I do have a sample page. You're like really close. I made sample pages of all these. So the Muted Green Ink is really neat because they have a whole muted collection. I want to say it's like 6 or 8 colors. I want to say 6. But they're all really cool, and it's just like a different take on colors, and they have a little gray tone to them, which right now with gray days, it's interesting combination of like kind of what you're experiencing outside and what you can use in art supplies. And it's a brand new product, I think came out this year, so that's a great one.
Is this water resistant? Can you mix water with it and like spread it around?
You can. It's an acrylic ink, so it's water based. I also have 2 different acrylic marker pens.
I like those.
This one is Posca, and I've used their pens for a long time. This is Sky Blue, and the other one is Montana acrylic marker in black. So they come in different points. I think both of these are fine tip.
They look fine tip, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I really like these 2 kinds because I've had a bunch of different ones on the market and they dry out really quickly. But these have stayed really wet. You get good ink coverage, and they're both acrylic, so they're also water soluble and water based. But you can see that the coverage is just really nice, and they last a long time. I like using these in my mixed media work. The last one I have is Holbein Gouache. So Holbein Artist Gouache. This is actually a mixing set. So this would be a great stocking stuffer or a great gift for an artist. But what's really cool about the mixing set is it comes with the primary cyan, yellow, magenta, white, and black. And then it also comes with this whole card.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's a mixing set because those are the colors you need to mix. So you can see all the different colors you can get.
Show them, not me.
Oh, yeah.
Got it.
That you can get out of this set by mixing the yellow and blue to get green, and the variations on green and oranges, and it's a really neat way to practice your mixing. And I love gouache paint because it is essentially a very opaque watercolor, so it's also water soluble. And I did a little sample of each one.
For someone who's not completely versed in all this stuff, the difference between gouache, watercolor, and acrylic. What's the difference?
So watercolor is very transparent and it glides. You really need watercolor paper to get the effects of watercolor. Gouache is more of a designer, originally like a designer's paint, so it dries very, very flat and very opaque. I'm looking at you. It's a question.
I know, but they want
This is for you. It dries really flat and really opaque, gouache does, and I really like to use it. I use it in mixed media. I don't use it traditionally. I'll use it over layers of other acrylic or even with watercolor, and I'll put water over top of it and pull bits of it off, so it kind of breaks down. That opacity will break down a little bit. You get some really neat effects with it. And then acrylic paint is more like plastic based. It's very like rubbery. If you put it on really thick, you can just feel the dimensionality and it really sticks.
So this is ½ an ounce of paint. How long would something like this last?
A really long time. So
you don't need to buy a whole
No. And really, this is kind of one of the biggest sizes they have. I think this is the biggest size they sell it in. Because essentially, very much like watercolor, a little bit goes a long, long way. So this is a really nice set. And you can mix it and get a lot of the variations on color just with these primaries.
Nice.
The last thing I have, which, as you know, I always do a drawing of the coffee or tea, or we're going to do scones today, in my Denik Sketchbook. And Denik Sketchbooks come in a bunch of different covers and styles. They have a sketchbook version with a spiral. This one I just posted about on my Instagram page at DrawRiot, just to show kind of a variation. And what's neat about Denik, and I've talked about them before, is that they help schools and help school art programs and help artists. So both of these covers are from artists. And I just love that as a gift. I think blank books, sketchbooks, journals just make really great gifts this time of year because people are always looking to start something new and be creative, and it can be a lot of fun.
Well, and they're starting to get around. I didn't used to see them anywhere but online, and I've seen them at Dick Blick stores now. I think I might have seen some at Barnes & Noble.
Mm-hmm.
So look for them. They're really nice.
And I think you have something to share.
I do. I have a fountain pen. We had talked about getting some fountain pen action into coffee, tea, and art.
Action. You pulled the lid off like action.
Shoot people with my fountain pen. This is a Franklin Christoph needlepoint fountain pen. I got this at the Chicago Pen Show this summer. It's got a nice kind of acrylic body, and I've got a converter in mind so I can use whatever ink I find most exciting. But the interesting thing about this is I like a really fine tip. Some of my favorite pens are Signo Uniball 0.38 millimeter pens. This is just slightly thinner. And at the pen show, as I was looking at these, they actually had, what do they call those guys? A nibmeister.
You have green ink in there.
So they had a guy there who had me write some stuff on a piece of paper, looked at how I was writing, asked me questions, and then he would take like fine grit sandpaper and tools and like tweak the nib. So this nib has actually been modified for my writing style, and it just writes smooth as butter. All the pens I tried from Franklin Christoph were really awesome pens. So they've got everything from wide tip to these needle tips, and what do they call it? Flex nibs. They have really great flex nibs too. I've never been that big a fan of them, but when I tried the Franklin Christoph, really liked it. So check those guys out. Yeah. This looks like a stocking stuffer, but this is more like wrap a small present in a big box, because they are fairly expensive fountain pens, but they are custom made. So
and supporting small business.
Yeah, craftsmanship. Really, you're supporting craftsmen when you buy it from companies like Franklin Christoph.
So we have awesome tea, awesome scones. I'll put links to all of this stuff down in the linkage area.
Show notes.
And thanks so much for watching. We have some fun stuff coming up in 2017, and I'd love to hear from you, what you'd like to hear, what you'd like to see. What do you want us to review? Do you have a special coffee, tea, or art product that you would like us to try out and give a review on? Let us know, and we would love to do that. So, happy holidays, and have an awesome new year.
Yay.
Bye.